Hi, my name is Tai. I run a startup creative agency here in the ancient city of Ibadan, Nigeria. And I often say that we have a big dream, and that dream is to build local, homegrown African ideas, products, and businesses into global brands. So a few months ago, we started this little thing on Instagram called Brand My Idea. Basically, what we did was every week we put out a 25 to 30-minute video on a key or core aspect of branding. Okay, our aim was basically to make sure that a business owner or an employee within a business could apply core branding principles to grow and scale up a business without any hassle. Okay, so last week I did a little overview on the brand called TikTok, and what I tried to do was to kind of pick out lessons that I felt small businesses could take and apply to their own brands, especially with regards to the TikTok product. Okay, you can check out the video here on our channel. We have some of the other content we used to have on Instagram is also on our channel, and we have stuff on visual identity. We have stuff on creating brand experiences. Have quite some good stuff. Each video is about 25 to 30 minutes. You can just check them out right here on our channel. I'd like to talk a little around the subject of managing perception. Now, I should say that this is slightly different from the field of thought known popularly as perception management. Now, perception management as a field was coined, or the term rather, was coined by the US military a while back. What it refers to are just techniques that are used to make a target audience think, feel, or see a subject matter a certain way, regardless of what that subject matter actually is. Okay, and so techniques like deception and manipulation and all of that are quite acceptable under perception management. But what I want to do today is just, the basic word, managing a perception that somebody would have about your business or your product. And so it's just a thin line, but I wanted to clear that out from the start, that this is not a discussion around that field of thought. This is just talking around the basic English word perception, and actually how you can manage the perception that your target audience would have or has or will eventually have about your product or your business. So let's start first with a definition. What exactly is perception? Now, in very simple terms, perception is basically the way something is regarded, understood, or interpreted. So the first question you want to ask yourself is, what does my target market understand about my business? Or maybe first, even before that, is how does my target market regard me? Do they think that I am selling what I'm actually selling? How do they view me? What is their impression of me? Am I selling luxury, or do I feel that I'm selling luxury and my audience actually thinks I'm selling mid-range? Again, what do they understand about what I'm doing? What do they understand this business to be? Or perhaps you are rolling out a product. What do they understand this product to be? Or how do they interpret all that you're doing? So you have your core mission and your values, and you have your vision statement and your mission statement, and you want to ask yourself, what do they interpret these things to be? How does my target market interpret our business? Are they seeing what we want them to see? Are they understanding what we want them to do? We think we're selling this amazing product that is going to change their lives. We think that we have created this amazing, whatever it is, or product range or service that we feel is the best thing to come after Cube Sugar, and we just feel like, we have created this, we have all of that. What does your target market actually understand that you're selling? What are they even interpreting what you're selling as? So you have come with this amazing new innovative line of products or new range of services, and you're like, man, we're going to hit the market with this thing. These people will be wild. How do they interpret it? Are they seeing what you are seeing? Is your target market understanding what you want them to understand? Is your target market understanding what you want them to understand? Are they seeing what you are seeing? Are they receiving, are they perceiving your product or your service or your business as a whole the way you are perceiving it? Okay, now more importantly, how are you getting this information? Do you know what they think? So it's on one hand we want to ask, do they know? On the second hand, you also want to ask, do you know, right? Are there ways that you have put in place that is allowing you to get this feedback? Now, not just customer feedback, that's feedback from people who walk into your store or call or make a purchase, but your target market, do you know what they think about you? It's very important. So on the one hand, what do they think about you? On the second hand, what do you know about what they think about you? And so you don't just want to say, oh, what do they think about me? You just want to ask yourself, have I put things in place that is ensuring that I actually know what they think about my business or my product or this thing that I have put out in the market? Bottom line is, you have to create a structure, a system that constantly feeds you with information on what your target market actually thinks, what regards you as, understands you to be, or interprets your business to be. I can't say this, strongly enough. It is very important to know what the interpretation of your business is in the mind of the customer. Okay, you look at it from the problem you are trying to solve, but you have to be sure that they actually first of all know that there is a problem, and they know that you are the solution to that problem. Okay, so while you are putting up operations on actually delivering your service or delivering your product, you want to be sure that you are setting up a system in place that allows you to measure what constantly, now very important, constantly, consistently, which means you are getting this information regularly. You want to be sure that you are aware of what your target market, again, not just your customers, but what your target market regards, understands, and interprets you to be. Now, how do you manage this thing called perception? How do you, yeah, the word is manage. How do you put deliberate structures that help you to give the right perception, or to create the right perception, or that helps your audience rather create the right perception? Now again, I want to clarify, I'm not talking about deception or manipulation, because at the end of the day, a bad product is a bad product. Okay, you can manage perception up until the point of a user actually experiencing your product or your service, but the truth is, the experience that a user has with your product or your service actually forms a key part of the perception that they will end up having. Okay, now that being said, it is also very important that you want to manage the perception that a customer or a user has of your business or your product right up until the point of purchase, or right up until the point of experiencing that product. Because at the end of the day, experience is one thing, but also perception before I actually decide to experience is also very key. And so you want to be sure that while yes, you have crafted an amazing product, but you also want to make sure that you are effectively leading your target market and attracting them to the point where they actually want to experience the product or the service. So the truth is, I often say that a brand is at the core of it a perception. Okay, what people regard, what people understand, and what people interpret your business to be. So in building a great brand, one of your key focal areas is to manage the perception. Now perception at two levels, or at two different points. So perception before a product is experienced is also key to building a great brand. Perception during the use of the product, very key to building a great brand. And then perception even after using the product, very key to building a great brand. But the two major ones, the perception leading up to the experiencing of the product, how I regard, am I aspiring to use this product or to use this service? Do I think this is something I want to save up for? Do I think that this is something I'm looking forward to buying or looking forward to experiencing? Or do I not even care? Then when I experience it, does this stay with me, and do I want to repeat the process all over again? Do I want to tell other people about it? So those are two key points that you want to be managing perception. On the one hand, build a fantastic product, okay? Build a seamless service. Create something that is unforgettable. That is one part of building, a great perception about this brilliant idea you have had. The other part, very importantly, leading up to the point of experiencing, is also to manage perception leading up to the experience. That's the purchase point. So you want to make sure, how are you managing perception leading up to when somebody actually takes a step to experience your product. Now, when it comes to managing perception, one of the key areas you want to focus on is this thing called visual data. The truth is, a large part of our perception formation comes from what we see. Okay, we form perceptions of our world, of things that we come in contact with, largely by what we see. Now, if somebody comes to me wearing a suit and trying to pitch a product to me, the truth is, I perceive on two levels. Okay, I perceive on one hand what he's telling me about the product, so I'm interpreting and processing the information that he's giving me about his product, but on the other hand, I'm deriving meaning based on other things I'm seeing and what he's wearing, how he's talking, his manner of approach. I'm deriving meaning. And so it is important to note that perception in terms of visual data is often derived, or is often built on two levels, or in two ways. On the one hand, what you are giving me to see, the information you are telling me, what is on your advert, what is in your space when I come in, the things that you're actually putting out for me to see, on the one hand. But there's also the point of the things that are unsaid that I am also deriving meaning from. So there's perception based on information that is received, but there's also perception based on meaning that is derived. So again, like the example I gave earlier, I'm deriving meaning, further meaning on what I'm putting context to what this guy is telling me based on how he looks, based on how he's speaking. If somebody in a basketball, jersey comes to also pitch the same product to me, the truth is, my response will be different. My perception will be different, not just because of what he's saying. They may be saying exactly the same thing, but because of how he has come, the other things that are not being said. And so you must pay attention in terms of managing perception on not just what you are putting out to the customer, what you are saying, what you are giving to the customer, but you also want to pay attention to the things that are not said. In fact, that's very important. Are you telling me expensive and looking cheap? Are you saying healthy and you look indulgent? Are you saying upbeat and happy and you look morose and sad? Are you saying global and you look very local? On and on and on. You want to be sure that what you are saying is not contradicting how you are looking. It's not contradicting the things that are not said. Are you saying classy and you look tacky? Or the Nigerian word would be raz. Are you saying you are tush and you look raz? You must be sure, what does your target audience perceive to be classy? Do you look like that? What does your target audience rather perceive to be luxury? Are you looking like that? Or you are shouting luxury, that you're a luxury, you're posh, you are all of that, your pricing says luxury, whereas the experience says tacky or cheap. Okay, and so we must weigh those things and be sure that what you are saying is not contradicting what you are not saying. What is said must tally with what is not said. Okay, because I will always form a perception on two levels. I'll form perception based on the information you are directly giving me, but I'll also form perception based on the meaning I'm deriving from everything else that the information is coming in. And so that is very key in managing perception, is that you must pay particular attention to everything apart from what you are directly putting, especially when it comes to adverts and when it comes to visual things, the visual aspects of your business, the points of contact that a customer, a member of the target market would have visually with your business, what they will see, for example, in your social media, what they will see in an advert, what they will see when they walk into your space, what your package looks like. The visual point, visual data is highly important when it comes to forming a perception. And so when you are, putting out visual data, because we will put out visual data, you want to sell your idea, you want to market yourself, you want to show what you are doing. When you are putting out visual data, pay attention to not just what you are actually deliberately putting out, but everything else that is coming along with what you are putting out. What medium are you using? So you want to sell it, but you say, I don't want to spend so much money on this, and so you put it on a very tiny handbill, and you invest so much in the information itself, but it comes in a cheap looking package, or you want to put out however it is, but every point of visual contact that your target market will have in your business, you must, or with your business, you must pay attention to not just what you are saying, or not just what you are deliberately putting out in terms of visual data, but be very attentive to what you are not saying. Be very attentive to how it is coming at them, so that you are making sure that you are careful about what derived meaning these guys are going to get from the visual data that you have put out. Okay, so now that we've kind of given ourselves an overview of pay attention to not just what is being said, but also what is not being said. What are your next steps? Okay, I'm going to try and do this with the episodes to see, okay, what can you now deliberately do, knowing that it's very key to be deliberate, to be careful, to pay attention to the signals you are sending to your customers. You are always sending out signals. Every time you put yourself out, you're trying to market your product, or you're trying to sell something to somebody, or you're just putting yourself or putting your product out, you are sending signals, especially visual signals. Be sure that you are not sending the wrong signals. There are those signals that you are deliberately putting out, and there's an expected response that you are trying to get. But there are also signals that you are sending. A staff with a rumpled shirt, a garbage can in one corner somewhere, a tacky space, you decorate to your taste, but it doesn't look like what your customers or your target audience believes to be what you are saying you are. Or even your social media page, how does it look? Does it look like a brand that calls itself this kind of product? You be very careful about not just what is being said, but what is not being said. So what are your next steps in trying to manage perception? Okay, the very first thing is you want to sit down and ask yourself, do I have a system in place that allows me to measure what people think about our product, or about our business, or about who we are? Is there a structure in place currently that allows me to regularly and constantly receive feedback? Okay, and you want to ask yourself, okay, if you do have such a structure, fantastic. You want to measure how effective is this structure. If you don't have such a structure in place, you now want to ask yourself, what can I do? What structures can I put in place? An example would be to create a platform that allows you to gather a lot of feedback from your target market at the same time. Examples would be maybe a product sampling event, an exhibition, a fair, an open day, whatnot, but something that allows you to get a lot of feedback at the same time at once. Okay, sending out a survey form may not be the most effective, because people need to have an incentive to actually go out of their way to feel something. Okay, but when you bring people together, it's something fun, something people want to engage in, a giveaway, something that's a way of gathering feedback at the same time. So you can have a structure, a culture of maybe an open day or a sampling event or something. I mean, think creatively based on your niche or based on your industry or your own business. Think creative, but the bottom line is you want to have something that constantly allows you access to a lot of feedback at the very same time. The next step you want to take is to ask yourself, or you can sit with your team or just you alone, and try to identify 3 major contact points that your target market would likely have with your business. You can restrict it to visual contact points, or you can expand it if you like, depending on your business. But you want to identify 3 major contact points leading up to purchase. Okay, so 3 major contact points that your customer or your target market would have with your business up until the point of actually interacting or being in contact with the product or service itself. And then at each of those contact points, you want to ask yourself, what structures can I put in place? What system can I create that allows me or that ensures that I'm managing the perception of this my target market at this contact point? An easy example would be a common contact point that any business or would have with their target audience would be social media. So you want to look at what your social media looks like and compare it with brands that are way ahead of you, companies that are doing what you're doing, but that you look up to and that you admire. And you want to put your page side by side and say, okay, does this look like what I'm telling my customers I am? I'm supposed to be a fun, accessible brand. Does my page look fun and accessible? Look at fun and accessible pages and try and compare. Does it tally? Does it look like? And then you want to ask yourself, what structures do I want to put in place? Do I want to write out a plan for my social media? Do I want to, or a contact point? Another contact point would be, say, phone calls, people calling to order your product or your service, and you want to say, do I sound like what I want to sound? What structures now can I put? Do I want to do a call guide that anybody who picks up a phone call to answer an inquiry speaks in this way? Must ask for the well-being, or ask how you're doing, however it is. But you want to say at each of these contact points, identify 3 contact points. You can restrict it to visual if you would like, or you can expand it. But the major thing is you want to ask yourself, at each of these contact points, what structures do I want to put in place that allows me to manage the perception of my target audience at each of these contact points? Okay, I hope that this was helpful. Please send in questions, comments and all that to us. You can email them at info@imagodi.com. The email address will be in our description, or you can send us a DM on Instagram. Okay, also in the description to this video. Next week I'm going to stretch this a little further, but I'm going to be talking about recognizability. Now the truth is, every new experience we have as human beings is measured using previous experiences. Okay, and as a business owner, you want to know, how can I be using this to my advantage? So what I see, if I see something new, I interpret it, I understand it, I regard it, I form a perception based on what I have previously known. And so we want to talk around, how can you use this human nature, human aspect to your advantage. Thank you for watching. It was great hanging out. Please share with business owners, startup entrepreneurs, or people in your world. Okay, let's build businesses together. Okay, and I believe with all of my heart that African brands and African products can truly become the world's most valuable brands.